Hello everyone. In the previous class, we were discussing about black box testing techniques. Within this, we have covered requirement-based testing, positive and negative testing, boundary value analysis. In today's class, we will study decision tables. First, we will see the definition of decision table. A decision table lists the various decision variables, conditions assumed by each of the decision variables and the actions to take in each combination of condition. Here, the decision table contains the list of various decision variables, means condition variables or the values. These values are assumed by each of the decision variables and the actions we are going to take on these decision variables to take in each combination of the conditions. Let us take one example. The example is calculation of standard deduction on taxable income. All of you read the slide. Most taxpayers have a choice of either taking a deduction or itemizing their deductions. The standard deduction is a dollar amount that reduces the amount of income on which you are taxed. It is a benefit that eliminates the need for for many taxpayers to itemize actual deductions such as medical expenses, charitable contributions, and taxes. The standard deduction is higher for taxpayers who are 65 or older or blind. If you choice, you should use the method that gives you the lower tax. To lower the tax, there are many choices. First, we will see one by one. The first choice we will see, the first one is the first factor that determines the standard deduction is the filing status. Here, filing status means whether you are married or you are having the joint account, or if you are married, then you are having the separate return or separate account. Basic standard deduction for the various filing status are: if you are single, then the amount is 4070 rupees. If you are married filing a joint return, then it is a 9500 rupees. If you are married, then filing a separate return, it is a 7000 rupees. We will see the second choice or second method. If a married couple is filing separate returns and the spouse is not taking standard deduction, the other spouse is also not eligible for the standard deduction. See here, if the couple is married and if they are filing the separate returns, then one spouse is not taking the standard deduction, then the other spouse is also not eligible for taking the standard deduction. We will see the third one. An additional 1000 rupees is allowed as standard deduction of either the filer 65 older spouse 65 years or older. See here, you will get additional 1000 rupees as a standard deduction if your age is 65 or older. Next, the fourth one is you will get additional 1000 rupees when you are blind. That is, you may be a blind or your spouse may be blind. These are the conditions we are going to apply in a standard deduction on taxable income. Let's see it by a table. See here, from this description, whatever we have seen, according to the example, see here it is clear that calculation of standard deduction depends on three factors. The first factor is status of filing the filer, then age of the filer, then whether the filer is blind or not. In addition, in certain cases, we are going to consider to play in calculating the standard deduction. The first one is whether spouse has claimed the standard deduction. The second one is whether spouse is blind. The third one is whether the spouse is more than the 65 years old. We'll see in a table. See here, the variables that contribute to the decision are listed as columns of the table. The last column of the table is the action to be taken for the combination of values of the in cases when the number of decision variables is many and the number of distinct combinations of variables is few. The decision variables can be listed as rows of the decision table. For the calculation of the standard deduction is given within this table. See here, when you are single, then the status of the spouse is single. You can see here, this is the status, this is the status of the spouse, this is the age. Next column is age of the spouse, whether the blind is spouse or not. Next, spice blonde is the spouse is blind or not. Next, the last one is the action column, that is standard deduction amount. See here, the first one we will see whether you are a single. Yes, if you are a single, then you are going to you are not going to check the status of the spouse. Next, you are checking the age, whether you are greater than 65. If no, then we are going to check whether you are a blind. If no, then your total standard deduction is 4750. Again, the same status we are going to check whether you are a single. Whether you are a single, then your age is not less than 65. We are going to check. If it is no, then we are going to check whether you are a blind. If it is yes, again you will deduct one more additional 1,000 standard, that is 5,750 rupees. In the same way, if you are married, then filing the separate return, then there also we are going to check whether you are having the age 65 or older. Again, you are a blind, like this we are going to check. Then the standard amount is 7,000. Like this, for all the decision variables we are going to check the different conditions based. Next, we will see what exactly means a decision table. A decision table is useful when input and output can be expressed as Boolean conditions. Here, input and output data is in the form of either true, false, or don't care. We can take some steps for the decision tables. First, we need to identify the decision variables. Secondly, identify variables. Third point is enumerate the combinations of the allowed values of each of the variables. And then the fourth point is identify the cases when values assumed by a variables. Then the fifth point is for each combination of values variables, list out the action or expected result. And sixth point is from a table listing in each but the last column variable. In the last column, list the action item for the combination of variables in that row. Here, including don't care is appropriate. As appropriate, we can add here. We will see the next point, that is equivalence partitioning. First, we will see the definition. Equivalence partitioning is a software testing technique that involves identifying a small set of representative input values that produce as many different output conditions. And see here, so equivalence partitioning is one of the software testing technique. It involves, here we are going to identify only some small set of representative input values. These input values are used to produce as many different output conditions as possible. This reduces the number of permutations and combinations of input as well as output values used for testing, thereby increasing the coverage and reducing the effort involved in testing. The set of input values that generate one single is called a partition. I will repeat, a set of input values that generate one single expected output is called partition. When the behavior of the software is the same for a set of values, then the set is called as an equivalence class or partition. When the behavior of the software is the same for a set of values, then the set is called as an equivalence class or a partition. The advantage of using equivalence partitioning is this technique is that we gain good coverage with a small number of test cases. We can cover more, that is with a small number of test cases. Let's take one insurance premium example here. All of you read the slide. Life insurance premium rates. A life insurance company has a base premium of $0.50 for all ages based on the age group. Premium has to be paid, that is as listed in the table. For example, a person aged 34 has to pay a premium as base premium plus additional premium. Here base premium is $0.50 and additional premium is based on the table. Here it is $1.65. Total is $2.15. Like this, based on the age group, we are going to divide the additional premium. See in the table. If the age is below 35, then the additional premium is $1.65. If the age is in between 35 to 39, then you have to pay the additional premium $2.87. If the age is 60 plus, then you have here based on the equivalence techniques, the equivalence partitions that are based on the age are, see here, if age is below 35, below 35 years is a valid input. In the same way, between 35 and 59 years of age is also one of the valid input. Above 60 years of age is also the valid input. Then what are the invalid inputs? If their age is negative, that is negative age is invalid input. If the age is 0, this is also invalid input. If the age is in 3-digit number, then sometimes it may valid or it may not. Like this we need to divide. See here, this we are going to represent with the help of the equivalence classes. Equivalence classes for the life insurance premium example. Let's see. The first column represents equivalence partition. Second column represents the type of input. Third column data, and the last column represents the expected results. First one we will see, if the age below 35, this is a valid data. Then the test data. What are the ages we are going to test? If the person's age is 26 or if the person's age is 12, then the monthly premium is same, that is $1. Totally we are going to pay $2.15. Within this, $0.50 is a basic premium and $1.65 is the additional premium. In the same way, if the age is above 60, the test data is 65 and 90. Here age is 65 as well as the same insurance premium here. If the negative age, then it is a invalid input data. Then the test data you may enter -23 age. Here it will show you the warning message as invalid input. If the age is 0, then this is also invalid test input data. It will also display the warning message as invalid input. In the equivalence partition, it is useful to minimize the number of test cases when the input data can be divided into distinct where the behavior or the outcome of the product within each member of the set is the same. Thank you.